Hi, I'm Megan Scott with WRTV. Coming up is a presentation with Senior Facilities Manager Andrew McCann on several general services topics, including your apartment's thermostat. Can't watch right now? Tune in every day this week at this time until Sunday.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. This is the first time we're doing a general services Did You Know or Get to Know. So I'll take comments after, opportunities for improvement. So obviously, this is just about Windsor Run.
What is your name?
Oh, my name's, I'm so sorry. My name's Andrew McCann, or Drew as everybody calls me. I'm the Senior Facilities Manager here at Windsor Run. What I do is I oversee maintenance, engineering, and the grounds here at the campus. So anything to do with the physical part of the building, design, construction, remodeling, is an area where my team or myself contributes pretty heavily. I report to the illustrious Karen Colmer, so if you see Karen in the hallways and you need something, her or I can get you taken care of in those areas. So we wanted to kind of do just a did you know. We get lots of questions about how big is this, how many square feet is this, why is it built this way, and a lot of those happen at Town Hall, and I don't always have the time to go into detail about why Windsor Run is unique and special, and what makes this community different from other communities you may drive by or have looked at or have friends who live at. So just some general overall facts. So Windsor Run is 60 acres, we're 7 buildings. We opened in May 2008. We have 10 elevators, 7 vehicles, and 431 aisle apartments, 34 in CC. Those are all things you've heard at various times, meetings, things like that. Here's some things that I really enjoy. These are all of your buildings under roof. We have 700,000 square feet. It's a few acres, right? So that is 700,000 square feet of air conditioning, carpet, water, dining, restaurants, apartments, that's it. That's all of per building. So here's an example. White Oak Terrace was just finished, RB 1.4. That building was 169,000 square feet. And we just opened that up and took it on, and there's some great opportunities to be learned from the way that we design and develop those buildings. But if you see the housekeeping staff, give them a big pat in the back. It's 700,000 square feet of vacuuming. So since we opened, just some metrics for those folks who likes the data, we've closed 13,000 work orders since we opened. So Tim and Bill and Gary and Brad and those guys have been really busy for a long time. 7,382 engineering work orders. So does anybody know the difference between an engineering work order and a maintenance work order? So an engineering work order is just heating and air conditioning. Hot water, something to do with a large piece of equipment, right? So those all include work requests that have come from residents. This does not include any of the preventative maintenance that we've done over the 4 years. So those guys are always out and about. So Brian's worked on the grounds. The grounds here are ever improving, work in progress, but I really appreciate his hard work. There's 2,000 work orders just for Brian. So it was a one-man department, 2,000 work orders. So housekeeping, obviously they're a front runner, 12,000 work orders. Security's filed 9,000 security incident reports, and the vans had 11,000 miles of trips. So here's some fun facts. These are my favorite facts. So Windsor Run is state-of-the-art energy management system, FMCS by Allerton, and we'll go into further detail about that, but that essentially is what controls the heating and air conditioning, the hot water of Windsor Run. It allows us to operate the community from my computer. Windsor Run is so large that we create our own water pressure via the pump house. So the city of Matthews does not send us water pressure. We take water from the city, we send it through a pump house with sequential pumps, automated controllers, and PVIs at each building, and then we send that to you as the residents. We have a consistently circulating hot water system, so when you turn on your faucet, you've got hot water at the ready. Each building has 325-gallon hot water heaters, which run sequentially as demand. For watering in one session overnight, we use 10,000 gallons from our holding pond. We fill our holding pond through rain runoff, a well, and if we really run low, we can turn on a domestic to fill that pond pump. That's the pump up by the sales center where you see the fountain. We essentially drain that pond every 5 days when we're watering. We have 2 cycles, and there's 150 zones of irrigation. So the most important part, your heating and cooling. So we have here at Windsor Run a Daikin VRV VRF system. It's a state-of-the-art system, and it was designed with the resident in mind. If you walk around the community, you don't hear the hum of air conditioners. All of the condensing units that you would see in a regularly multifamily or a traditional build like this would have all of those air conditioners outside on the ground somewhere. But we designed the facility so that you didn't know that that stuff was happening. All the condensing units are on the roof. And as you look at the picture, each one of those condensing units actually operates 6 apartments. So 6 units will share a condensing unit, and that increases our efficiency. So the Daikin VRV VRF system was designed with you guys in mind, obviously, so it's quiet, it's efficient. Windsor Run has the energy management system by Allerton. For those of you who'd like to stay after, I have a video which will break down the details of how the compressor works, what the structure is. It's about 8 minutes if you've got the time at the end. So the most important thing, why many of you are here, how does my thermostat work? And why does it work? And why does it work the way I want it to work? So the Daikin system, your thermostat, it looks like a thermostat, it acts like a thermostat, but it's not a thermostat. The thermostat for your Daikin system is essentially an iPad or a computer. It's constantly communicating with the system, the condensing unit that I showed you on the roof, and giving it information. What's your apartment at? What's your apartment at? What's this other apartment at? And who needs what and how do they need it? So the thermostat is always checking in with the rest of the system and our energy management system. How many of you had an experience where you walk by your thermostat and it's blinking? It's green or orange or whatever the code is on the thermostat. Well, that's when we call Corey, and he'll go to what we call the Jace. It's a central computer, and we can see everybody's stuff all at one time. It sends us alarms, it tells us all the parameters. It's how we keep Windsor Run running without going and checking on everybody's apartment every day. So if you put your thermostat in the auto mode, it will run heating and cooling at the same time in a swing season. So a swing season is going to be spring and it's going to be late fall, right? And what will happen is your heat will run when it's above 72 degrees, and then your AC will come on if it's 74 degrees. So basically, it'll operate both back and forth. But there's a period in there where nothing happens, right? And that space in the HVAC world is called a dead band, and they do that for efficiency. So you're not constantly running the system up and back, right? But it's very confusing because when you set automatic, you want it to maintain one temperature. I want 74 and I want it to go between 74 all the time. But the system was designed for efficiency. So there's a little bit of space in there and it goes back and forth. So the cooling mode, if you just go to the mode button, so if you just go over to the mode button right here and you change it to cooling, then it's only going to maintain cool. It's only going to send cool air to your apartment, and then when it meets its requirement, it's going to stop. And then as the apartment naturally heats up, it'll go back to cooling. You'll find, in my opinion, that that's the most accurate way for you to monitor your apartment is to set it either in cooling or heating to the temperature that you want, and it will maintain that 1 degree swing. Now remember I said this is a computer, right? So this computer, it will display 71 up on the screen, but it'll tell the computer that it's 71.4. Well, 71.4 isn't 72, so it will be above 71 and it still won't be running yet. Till it gets to 72, and then it'll come on. So that's the discrepancy in how your system works versus how it looks on the thermostat. Oh, sorry. So this is what it looks like when I come to work in the morning. This is the FMCS system, and this is how you log in. So I log in, and if you can see all the different buildings and all the different types, I did clear everything out so you don't see all, the alarms and set points and things. But that's what it looks like when I log in. And this is just a snippet of apartments. So how many of you feel like the hallways are too cold or too hot? Perfect, I get the same response. So doing a study, right, if you look at how various residents and various people keep various spaces, we have some spaces that are 73, some that are 72, some that are 81, some that are 77, some that are 74. Everybody likes at a very different temperature. So we've settled on 74 for the hallway. It's too cold? Okay, so when we make those adjustments all the way, there's a couple things that contribute to feeling cold. So if the thermostat is located in the corridor and how much air it gets, if you're in White Oak Terrace specifically, that building has a different hallway conditioning system where you've got the little cassettes that sit in the ceiling, so there's no ducts. So you get cold, warm, cold, warm, cold, warm, right? The system gives me the opportunity to manage it based on efficiency, set point, fan speed, things like that. So if you walk down the hallway and the thermostat is at the far end and it says it's 74, you might walk under an air conditioning vent that's putting out 68, right? And that's why it feels that way, because it takes a certain amount of time for the air conditioning to get from one end to the other end. So that's probably...
But in Dogwood Place, it's cold from one end to the other.
Yes.
There's no changes in the hallway at all.
So I'll look after this and I'll double check the temperature before I speak to it, make sure it hasn't been changed or adjusted.
Right.
We do have challenges when we'll set everything in the system and the system gets an update and then everything goes back to the original thing and we have to go back there and reset it. So there is a time once in a while where our corporate partners will go in and check on how we have things, and if the parameters aren't set the way that they think that they should be set, they just change everything back. It's like when you update your phone. So that's when Corey has those really busy mornings and he runs around all day changing all of the simmers back to the way we had it. So just wanted to explain where we're going. So Windsor Run, obviously Neighborhood 2 is underway. I'm sure we talked about this at Town Hall. So these are the buildings that we have, the names that they have, and the apartment sizes that are coming. So we've got Crestdale Court with 100 apartments, Fullwood Ridge with 88 apartments, Fincher Station with 91 apartments, Blue Ridge Landing, and then we haven't named 2.5 yet because I don't think that they have that fully designed yet. So when we're all done, we'll be 900 units, and that's what those systems will help us manage. If you can imagine, we have 150 irrigation zones here. Imagine when we open that up, we'll have 300, 320-ish. So this is just a map of what the community will look like. I think we've showed this before at Town Hall, but I just wanted to give everybody an understanding of what we see and don't see. But this is the area that you'll see fully under roof right now, and this is what you see coming up under the trusses. I think they were putting trusses up yesterday. And now for everybody's favorite part. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question about the thermostat operation. We have ours set at cool. We set it at the temperature. Let's say we set it at 73.
Okay.
Before it turns off, we go and look at the reading. It says 72. That seems to be, when it hits 73, it should go off and stay there until it goes above 73. Instead of taking it down to 72, that seems to be an inefficient way to operate the system to me. How do you respond to that?
Yep. So the question was, when I set my thermostat to 73 in cool, the unit will come on and run, but the thermostat will read 72 before the thermostat actually shuts off. So where that happens is the changeover. These units were originally programmed in Celsius to Fahrenheit, and so there's a decimal place, plus or minus a half a degree, that will change that. The other challenge that you have is when the unit runs and it's asking for refrigerant, until it makes its temp, then it sends that refrigerant back to the system. So I have a video if anybody wants to see exactly how it works. I'm happy to show it. For those of you who don't want to watch the video, we can keep going through questions and we can do the video in a minute.
Is it adjustable? Is it adjustable?
Oh, it isn't adjustable in the fact that it's pre-programmed from the manufacturer in a parameter base. So we don't have the opportunity to change the specificity of which it cycles over. I wish we did. It would make everything easier for everybody. 72 would be 72. Any other questions?
Yeah, Vince Martin, how long have you been here and how did you get so smart so quick?
So I've been here 100 days. In a previous life, I worked for another senior retirement company. In fact, I worked for 2 other ones. I started in senior communities like this when I was 22. My mom was a nurse. I had a natural aptitude, so when I was done with college, she dragged me to work, and she said, "You're gonna volunteer, it's good for you, it'll build character," and I found that I really enjoyed it. I went to work for HCR ManorCare for 15 years. If you're familiar with them, if they have 500 campuses across the country. Then I went to work for a company in Minnesota, designing, developing, and building communities like this. And I was very fortunate that gave me opportunities to learn and grow over a period of time. I'm here because my wife dragged me here.
Because occasionally, when I'm changing the thermostat, a weird menu pops up. I have 3 questions.
Okay.
What is that menu? Can I use it for anything? I've never been able to use it. And how can I make it go away quicker?
The question was, when I'm adjusting my thermostat, occasionally a weird menu pops up. How can I make it go away? Can I use it for anything?
And what is it?
And what is it? So the menu that you're accidentally coming into, what it is it's an operator's function menu. Much like if you go to your computer, but you go to the system settings, right? All of your thermostats are pinging the main computer constantly, giving us information on what your system needs, operating correctly, airflow, CFM, things like that. When you accidentally get into that menu, the system is saying, hey, what would you like me to do or change? Unfortunately, because your system, all of our systems, are designed and pre-programmed, that menu to you is exactly your experience. It's just a nuisance. Because you can't go in and change anything in it because it's all locked in by the manufacturer and the manufacturing engineer designed on this building. So if you get to that menu, I think if you hit the mode button twice, it will get you out of it and you go back to your regular screen.
Good.
Carol Martinsky. When we first moved here, the fans kept blowing all the time, and when you're sitting watching TV, it was just, annoying because it was just cool. And so someone said, well, you check with maintenance and they could change it to manual. And we did that, and we seemed to be very happy with it because we have the fan on when we want it and so on and so forth. Is that something that other people should know about, or is this just something that I think is working for me? Thank you.
Absolutely. Anytime you find something that works for you, I'd stick with it, right? 100%. The fan speed, so inefficiency, variable fan speed motors are the most efficient way to move air and create comfort. You can take the same coil temperature, cool the coil to 42 degrees, and if I take a fan speed at 1800 CFM and I send it out, everyone's gonna be really, really cold. I could take the same coil and do the fan speed of 400 CFM, and you're not gonna feel cool enough. right? So the combination of heating and air conditioning is generally broken down to a ratio of fan speed, coil temperature, and duct size. Now, we won't go into the specifics of all the floor plans and things like that, but in my experience here at Windsor Run, I would set my thermostat in the cooling mode with the fan speed on low or medium and let the unit cycle on and off as it saw fit. And I think that would provide me the greatest level of comfort with the least amount of inconvenience.
How do you set, we've never touched the fan speed, so should we be doing, I mean, I don't even know how to do it.
The question is, should we be setting the fan speed? The question I would ask is, are you comfortable?
Reasonably, no.
Then I would leave it as you're comfortable. I would imagine that your fan speed is probably set low or medium, and I would say it probably just comes on and off as the unit needs to, and for the size of your apartment, it probably works very well. So as long as you're not uncomfortable, I would leave it as set the way that it is. And if you ever have a problem or a question, or you are uncomfortable, call down to Amy at General Services desk. Corey or myself will run up and look at it just to make sure everything is the way that it should be.
Just to follow on the comfort, is there's a fair amount of difference from room to room, and I think the secret is that the small bedroom is the farthest from the unit, but that room is notably warmer. I don't know how much warmer. Is there anything you can do about that?
So the question was, I have a smaller bedroom that is furthest from the unit and is noticeably warmer. The inconsistency that you'll experience in the temperatures of your unit have a multitude of factors. Which wall is the sun hitting at that particular time? How long are the duct runs from the unit to that space? What is the settings on the other vents, and did the builder balance that apartment the same way they balance every other apartment? So again, what I would say is, because there's so many different floor plans and so specific, I would say if you're really uncomfortable or you're concerned about something, call down to General Services, put a ticket in, and we'll come look at it and work through the general process.
Hi, Helen Gorman. We have our thermostat set at 77.
Okay?
And we sit there at night with sweatshirts on and a throw over us. There's got to be something wrong with that.
I'm the other half of the Helen.
Oh. So the question was, we sit in our apartment with the AC at 77, and we still wear sweatshirts in the evening. So my question would say, the system is calibrated and has been recalibrated a couple times. So I can check to see if your thermostat is off specifically. But again, I would say, I would be less concerned about the number on the screen and more concerned about your comfort. So if you go to your unit and you say, I'm still cold, but I've got the cooling on, but it says 77, turn it to 78 or 79 and see what that comfort level is.
But then in the middle of the night, it's roasting.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, it's going to depend on where the air comes in your apartment, where your thermostat is. Do you shut your doors in the evening? There's a myriad of factors. So I would say this, call down General Services, put a ticket in, and Corey, or I thought Bill a minute ago, Corey and I will come look at it. Okay?
Phyllis Jordan. I'd like to know why the halls feel like Alaska. They are so uncomfortable, and I never was a cold person.
The halls are chilly, or seem to be chilly. They're all set at 74 degrees. So if that's something that needs to be adjusted, I'll work with George and Bo. And the challenge is that for the same number of emails or phone calls that we get that something is cold, we get an equal number that something is warm.
Maureen Lavachek. Sorry, one more thermostat question.
No problem.
Is there any way we can set it so that it automatically goes lower at night and automatically goes warmer in the morning? Like your house thermostats, you can.
Like a schedule?
Yeah.
It's a great question. So the question was, can we program our thermostat schedule? It's a great question, and let me find out before I do some research on that. Does anybody else have any questions before we show a video? If anyone's interested or wants to stay for the video?
John Mitchell, Sycamore Square, 110. When the unit comes on, like we get ours set at 74, and you're sitting there and it's just plain, say it's set at 74, it goes down to 72. It turns on. And lo and behold, it comes out like ice cubes. I mean, what temperature have you got in the Freon in there that's coming, that's cooling the darn thing off? It's ridiculous.
So the question was, what is the temperature of the Freon? Unfortunately, the Freon is not the contributing factor, it's the temperature of the coil. And when we compress it with the Daikin system, which I'll show you a video on here shortly, most coils shoot and are programmed for a 42 to a 43 degree coil temperature, which allows some of the larger apartments with those small systems to cool appropriately. If we raise the coil temperature any, we wouldn't have the ability to cool those larger spaces. Any more questions before we conclude for lunch and or meetings, other business?
Thank you.
No, thank you guys for coming so much today. I really appreciate the opportunity.